Okay people, this is himself. Welcome back to another Tekken 7 King guide. In this video we're going to look at Muscle Buster. I'm going to show you setups, properties and a hidden input that makes this throw seriously good. So Muscle Buster is quarter circle back 1+2. It comes out in 11 frames and it does 50 damage. But a back turn 3 is actually guaranteed. On a grounded opponent it does 64, but against standards and back rollers it's 68, and against wake up kicks it's a counter hit, so you get a launch. The only problem with this is that the window is very tight and it's very easy for the opponent to get away. But we do have some other options. One of them is back turn down 3. This is everything apart from staying still and it's a lot easier to do. Another option is low drop kick. This will catch those people on the floor and crush the low kick. It can also reach standards and back rollers, but they can crash to block it. Beyond that you have unblockables. Moonsault is the best option for hitting people staying still, and as long as back rollers don't backdash, it can catch them as well. Power-clothesline can also do the same job, but the problem is that most people can react to it. One last option is turning around into jabs. From my testing this hits back rollers. The only issue is that ducking will escape, and people will probably do that. Now when it comes to application, Muscle Buster was very limited, and the reason for that was that you couldn't buffer it. If you tried to do that, the command would overlap with Irish Whip, and that's a different throw altogether. Because of that, the only way to really use it was from crouch dash. What you do is crouch dash, neutral, forward and then quarter circle back 1+2. This would avoid the overlap issue, but it would also benefit his chain throws, and in two ways. Firstly, it gave you a complete throw mix up. You now had a 1 break, a 2 break and a 1+2 break. And secondly, the hands would look the same, so it was even harder for the opponent to read. Now though, it's a different story, because in season 4 they buffed the input. The first thing they did is they got rid of the overlap issue, so you can buffer it like every other throw. The second thing is they allowed you to hold back just a little bit before inputting the 1+2, so the command is now less strict. Now think about what you can now do. FF1 is -5 on block, +14 on hit and a launcher on counter hit. So what you do is FF1, quarter circle back during the animation and then hold the back. If they block it, I can just continue holding back and I'm safe. If it hits, I can input 1+2 and buffer the throw, and if it's a counter hit, I can still pick up for a full combo. So what we have here is an option select. Now that's the obvious stuff, but look what season 4 has opened up. Not only can you buffer a Muscle Buster, but you can also do this. Quarter circle back, forward forward back 1+2. A dashing Muscle Buster, and this is the secret input. Now for those of you who can do an instant Shining Wizard, this isn't a big deal, but for those of us who can't, it is, because now we have a 1+2 throw that can be done from short to mid range, and to mix it up we can do a dashing giant swing. Now some of you might still stick with Shining Wizard, but Muscle Buster does have its perks. Firstly, it does more damage, which is probably the biggest appeal. Secondly, the animation is similar to Giant Swing. Some people claim that they can break a throw looking at the first few frames of the animation, but the difference between Giant Swing and Muscle Buster is much harder to distinguish than Shining Wizard. With Shining Wizard it's a lot smoother, so people might pick up on this. With Muscle Buster, King does the same kind of stutter as Giant Swing, and that makes it harder to read. On top of that, both Giant Swing and Muscle Buster, King grabs the legs, so anyone reacting to the animation is going to have more trouble. With Shining Wizard, they might not. So with this input, what else can we do? Well, we can use it for Oki. After tier 1 Twister, Shining Wizard and Death Cradle, the opponent is close, so even if they back roll, a dashing Muscle Buster can still reach. Now personally I would choose Frankensteiner, but on a floor break stage I might actually go for this, because here we break the floor and we can do 70 damage. Now some of you will say that a burning knuckle combo is possible, and that is true, but the issue here is that there's no one size fits all. In fact, there are 5 different variations and there's 3 characters who are immune altogether. So because of that, I would just stick to the guaranteed damage. That is unless you want to be a bit more adventurous, because here the J-King setup is still possible. Since you can't end with a running power bomb, it might be worth doing this. The only issue is that the reset is still back turned, so the reward isn't that good. What you could also try is this, swapping the DF4 for Jaguar Step 2. If they block it, you're safe, but if it hits, crouch throws are on the table, and both of these break the floor. Now if you're interested in crouch throws, do check out my video on them. There's a card in the corner and a link in the description. So earlier I showed you the FF1 setup, which is great because here they can't sidestep or backdash out of the throw. Beyond that though, there are some other cheesy setups and you might want to try these out. One of them is Rage Drive on block. In the open, we end up with a space between us and them so they can backdash out. At the wall though, it's a different story because here there is no space and that means the setup is on. Another cheesy setup is this, running exploder. On normal hit it's plus 17, but on shallow hit it's plus 20, so a get up kick mix up is on the table. Because of that, some people will just block and try to guess right. But we can use that to our advantage because what we can do is stand up and buffer the throw. Now obviously on normal hit people can beat us out, so once people catch on it's best to avoid this. Something similar is running 3. On block it's 0, but the animation will make them feel like it's a lot more. So as with Exploder, we can buffer a throw. Remember how we mixed up Muscle Buster with chain throws? Well, you can do the same with Jaguar Step. All you do is 3+4, input quarter circle back and then hit 1+2. Now just like with the chain throws, the hands look the same and that then gives them another throw to think about. And finally, the last setup I have is this. Back +4, turn around, Muscle Buster. Now since the kick puts us at +2, some people will wait for the mix up and often they're expecting down 3 or back turn 3, so a throw here can catch them off guard. The only problem is that to get them to stand, you need to use back turn 3 and that move is -13, so it is a bit risky. The last thing I want to talk about is the failsafe. If you don't input the command correctly, especially with the dashing version, what you end up with is the Irish whip. So what you should always do is add on a follow-up. Now the follow-up to use depends on your particular situation, but for a brain dead option, go for the throwaway. This guarantees a CD1 and it can lead into a combo. In fact, the next thing you should do is check out my video on that because there's numerous players who fall into that trap. Now if you've already seen that, then make sure you give this video a like. It really helps me out and it motivates me to do more for this character. Now looking ahead, there will be more King videos coming, so keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, have fun, play well, and I'll see you guys in the future.